Welcome to Advocacy Talks, a podcast from the advocacy team at Vision Ireland. Here's what's coming up on this episode.
I'm the first person in the world to run a marathon using smart glasses and the app Be My Eyes. And I have to say to them, look, my name is Clarke Reynolds. I'm in training for the Brighton Marathon. Have you got a spare 5 minutes just to come with me as I jog around my block? People from around the world were spending half an hour with me running around. So it wasn't just about guiding me, supporting me. It was just like literally having a podcast, but running.
And now, here's Madeleine McNamara.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for listening to Advocacy Talks today. Well, I am joined by a man of many talents today, Clarke Reynolds. But before I introduce you to him, I'd just like to remind you about our last episode in which I spoke to Victoria Kaminska, who is studying at Dublin City University doing computer science degree, and she's completely blind. And she told us about the many supports that are available to her at the university, but also about the many challenges that she still faces. So if you did miss that, then please do, go and have a listen, because it's really, really interesting conversation that I had with Victoria. Well, today, as I say, I'm joined by Clarke Reynolds, who is a blind artist. His professional name is Mr. Dot. But his most recent claim to fame is that he recently ran the Brighton Marathon using Meta glasses and Be My Eyes as his guide. So, Clarke, welcome to Advocacy Talks.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And it's an honour to be part of this podcast and the community of inspiring vision impaired people.
Oh, well, you're very, very welcome. And we're just so amazed by this most recent chapter of your life, the story of your recent marathon experience. So as I was saying there, you ran the Brighton Marathon, which I believe isn't your first marathon, but it's the first one where you use technology to guide you. So maybe you could tell us about that.
Yeah, so I did the London Marathon 3 years ago. It was always on my bucket list. An amazing experience. I had a guide runner. I was tethered and I trained, but I couldn't train as well as I could because, people we live busy lives. So it's really hard to have, that training partner constantly, 3 times a week, and I don't live a 9-to-5 life as an artist. So I don't even know where I'm going to be tomorrow, let alone today. So a year ago, I went to an AI conference through a charity called Fight for Sight, who we'll talk about later. And at that event, I met the inventor of the app Be My Eyes. And it just so happens in that also the people that created the Meta glasses were there as well. So I'd never heard of the app Be My Eyes, and I only found out it'd been out for 10 years. And because of the collaboration between the Be My Eyes and the Meta glasses, it came to the forefront. So I went back home and I was thinking, right, what could I do to push the boundaries? Because as a creative, I push the boundaries in my art form. And I was thinking, right, I was like, oh, could I run another marathon? Could I run a marathon using smart glasses and the Be My Eyes app? And 10 months later, here we are. And I've done it. I'm the first person in the world to run a marathon using smart glasses and the app Be My Eyes.
Wow, it's incredible. I mean, it was such a confluence of events that you happen to, be at that event and then link the two things together. Amazing to come up with that. I mean, for people who don't know, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about how it works in terms of, I mean, a lot of people would know about Be My Eyes, but as you say, you hadn't heard of it. So, I mean, maybe others wouldn't. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about, that app and how that then links in with the Meta glasses in order to be able to guide you.
Yeah, of course. So obviously Be My Eyes has been around such a long time, but it's usually done through your phone. So you can download the app, and obviously with the AI features now, it's fantastic to describe it, to read things. So, but Be My Eyes is actual real people. So they would take over your camera in your phone or the camera in the glasses. And usually, it's about if I was getting dressed, is this the right colour shirt, or if I'm in a shop, is this baked beans, is this a tin of soup? And so to do something radical, obviously we asked Be My Eyes if this is possible. They said try it out first because obviously we didn't know if it's going to happen, and I didn't realise that I thought I was just going to get people from the UK to be my support as I'm running around in my training runs. But my first caller back was an American lady from Virginia. So
Wow.
I know, it was amazing, and I was blown away with the conversation. So in like 5 seconds, I've got to say, "Hey Meta, call be my eyes." So they then take over the camera and the glasses, and in 3 seconds, when I get a caller on, I have to say to them, "Look, my name is Clarke Reynolds. I'm in training for the Brighton Marathon. Have you got a spare 5 minutes just to come with me as I jog around my block, and we can chat along the way?" And you just say there's a bin, a parked car, you know, and the people were so generous with their time. It wasn't just a 5 minute thing. People from around the world were spending half an hour with me running around, and we were talking about from the weather to what films they're watching. So it wasn't just about guiding me, supporting me. It was just like literally having a podcast but running.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? That people, to have that access, it's an amazing app actually, and a service that is there, that people, volunteers just give of their time to be kind of called at random, if you like, to take a call from somebody, and they don't know what they're going to be asked, do they? And
No.
they certainly, I bet, didn't expect to be asked to help someone train for a marathon. So fantastic. And how, go on, sorry.
No. So basically, because there's 10 million sighted volunteers and 1 million vision impaired blind users, a majority of the phone calls, I think 70% of the phone calls, I was their very first phone call as well.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I know my sister signed up and she hasn't got a call yet, so she's very disappointed. People who have volunteered are desperate for, someone to be able to help somebody. But yeah, I mean, so how long would your training runs have been when you were training for the marathon, for the Brighton Marathon?
So I did really good training. I was training for 5 miles an hour, and I got that down pat, plus the talking. So obviously I had to talk whilst I was running. And so I was training. I built up that 5K to couch kind of thing. And then I would do at least 3 runs a week, starting from like an hour and then building up to like 2.5 hours by the end of the week. So I do 3 runs a week. And because of the glasses, obviously, this is where we tested it. The idea that, you only have about half an hour with the glasses battery. So where my run was, it was good. So I could come into my house and do a pit stop with the glasses, put a new pair of glasses on and go again. So I had 4 pairs of glasses on the day of the marathon, and we treated like every half hour I had a new person on the line. And then once they finish the conversation, I change the glasses and I go again. I take on some fluids and then I go again. So that's how it all worked.
Ah, interesting. I didn't realize that. I mean, I know that I knew that the battery life. I didn't know how long the battery life was for the glasses, but I didn't actually consider that as an issue. That obviously it's only half an hour when you're using it for that purpose. It goes constantly. It's interesting.
Yeah. So we worked everything. So literally people. This wasn't a whim, I thought about what I was doing. I obviously I pushed the limits on the day. I didn't even know if it was going to work, because we didn't know if the signal coverage, if you've got like tens of thousands of people, will your phone still work and connect to the tech? And we were blown away when I got that first phone call, when I crossed the line and I said those magic words, and I got the first phone caller, and like my heart skipped a beat, because this could work. This could physically work. And 98% of that course was run with me, with complete strangers in my ear holes, just talking about what they're having for breakfast, telling me if there's someone dressed as a giant. I think someone's dressed as a giant wheelchair in front of me. So, and it was brilliant. I was the last group in the Brighton Marathon. It wasn't a busy marathon. It's 15,000. I was last group, so it wasn't like I was tripping over people. There was plenty of time from the phone caller, because it's instant, to tell me, someone in front of me is slowing down, go to your left, go to your right, and it worked perfectly. I had a guide runner, but I didn't know where he was. The guide runner was there just to be a pack mule. He was great. He carried all the glasses. He made sure that I was rehydrated, so he got my drinks from the drink station. And what I found out afterwards is he was helping other runners behind me, giving them support and encouragement, which was amazing.
Great. Yeah, so he was really doing a great job there, supporting everybody, which is fantastic, isn't it? Really, really brilliant. So as you were saying, on the day when you were training, you just had random people you would sort of call up at that time. But for the actual marathon, it was all kind of planned, that you had people set up through the Be My Eyes.
So Be My Eyes is set up literally about 6 weeks ago before the marathon. This new thing called groups. So the idea is fantastic. So if you had the app and you had a group of friends or people that you would like to be, you use them physically. So you could tap on that person's number, and that person, if they're free, would jump on a call. So what happened was all the volunteers were known to the charity Fight for Sight, who I'm the ambassador for, and also for the Richard Whitehead Foundation, who supplied the guide runner. So they were all linked. I even had Alistair, who was my guide runner, had his brother as one of the supporters on the trip. So it was fantastic. So they were all known to the charity, but I still had no idea when I said those magic words who I was going to get. So that was really fantastic.
That would really make it really interesting for you then. There's the experience of talking to all those different people as well, an added kind of element to the whole process, I guess.
It was great. Like I said, I mean, most people struggle to run 26 miles, but imagine I had to run 26 miles and talk for 26 miles as well.
Yeah, pretty exhausting, I imagine, compared to, doing the marathon would be enough for me, but not be having to talk as well. But I mean, how did you find it? How would you compare it to the previous marathon where you had the actual guide runner tethered to you? How would you compare the experience?
For me, it was a much better experience because I trained what I was going to do. I didn't get any blisters afterwards. I ate for one day, and then literally I could have done no marathon on the Tuesday because I trained, because I could physically train, and it worked for me. And we talked about guide runners are always going to be important, but this technology is not far off from supporting people doing everyday tasks. The idea. And also, blindness is a very lonely thing as well, especially if you get to a certain age. Can you imagine? You can use this app in future, and you could say, you know what, I need to go down the walk to the park and just, feed the ducks, and maybe someone can come along and be my eyes, for half an hour.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's an amazing technology, and I think it's integration now into the Meta glasses, which are really being a game changer for people as well. It just makes it functionally so much better, I think, doesn't it?
And affordable. I mean, obviously the app is free, but those Meta Ray glasses are a game changer for the sight loss community, right? Because they're made for everyone, and it just so happens that the blind community are using it for so much more than what they're designed for. So because it's like having a TV, everyone buys TVs. That's why they're only about 200 quid, but if the glasses are just for the vision impaired community, that £300 becomes £3,000 because we're such a niche market. So that's what the beauty of the Meta has done.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And do you think that, could you see that this technology being used for sort of athletes going forward, say the Paralympics or anything like that? Do you think that it's possible that, the athletes would be able to use it in those kind of competitions?
Oh, it'd be interesting, going forward, how far, obviously the signal, battery life, can we improve that stuff? Anything's possible over the next 5 years. Who knows what could be done? But I just think, if no one tries it, we don't know. So I tried it, and like I said, it worked better than we expected. So how can we improve on that? And now we've opened up that can of worms. I love to be involved in the future tech of. If I was to do another marathon, I was thinking, well, a robot did it the other day, didn't they? A half marathon.
Oh,
yeah. Could Mr. Dot run with a robot the whole 26 miles? Could that happen?
Absolutely. No, it's fantastic. And as I say, your reasons, I suppose, around doing this whole project in the first place were, as you were kind of saying earlier, around just pushing the boundaries for what people with sight loss can do. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I've been blind in my life from the age of 6, but in the 80s, no one talked about sight loss. So I grew up, wore glasses, got my degrees in art and stuff. And when I told I was losing my sight 12 years ago, my other eye, everything came crashing down. I.e., my profession. Apparently, losing your sight makes you, as an artist, makes you not professional anymore, makes you a hobbyist. And that really infuriated me. What changed? Nothing changed. I'm still the same person. I'm still the same creative. Because I've gone blind, my profession became a hobby. And I think that's really spurred me on in the last 12 years of people keep telling me, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. And I was like, the only thing we can't do, is drive because it's against the law. But if I was on a private road, I could still drive. Nothing's changed. It's just society has said that I can't do things. And I hate that.
Yeah, and fair play to you that you're really going out to prove that that's not the case, that you can do everything still, as well as everybody else. So you linked up then. You mentioned Fight for Sight earlier there, and as part of the this marathon, you were raising money for that charity, is it? And you're also engaged in other ways with them. Maybe you could tell us a bit about that, about
Yeah,
Fight for
so
Sight.
so what an honour. If anyone told me that 12 years ago when I was diagnosed with sight loss that I'd be an ambassador for a major sight loss charity, I would have laughed your head off. And they've really supported me in my art journey. They've always documented what I've done. And to be asked, it felt like I had a responsibility. What's the quote from Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. And it felt like I had that, and I don't know where that came from. And as my alter ego, Mr. Dot, I go up and down the country and I teach Braille in schools, and I break down the stigma attached to sight loss through the use of art. And over 35,000 kids in the past 4 years that Mr. Dot has engaged with, and all abilities, because we talked about barriers. Everyone, it doesn't matter if you're blind, not blind. Society gives us barriers, and Mr. Dot is there to prove that barriers are there to be broken down.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So when you're going around schools, are you showing Braille to kind of sighted children, or is
Yes,
it,
yes,
fantastic.
because I believe, right, and a lot of people may disagree. I believe Braille should be for everyone, because if Braille is for everyone, we would see it in society just as norm, like good typography. So it would be on toilet doors, it would be on signage, it would be on brands in shops. It would be part of the fabric of society. But because Braille is this kind of like, oh, what is this? Where is it? Kind of attitude. It's like, well, no, because I did write a children's book last year, and it was Braille standard. So it doesn't matter if a sighted child or a blind child picks my book up, it has Braille in. Braille's a great conduit to start asking questions around sight loss. And that's what Mr. Dot has done for the last 6 years. And now I can tell all the audience I am the leading Braille artist in the world.
Amazing, amazing. And tell me a bit about the actual art side of it. What does it look like or feel like, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I started off with creating color coded Braille because I'm a visual artist. I love color. So when I
Mm.
learnt Braille and I was showing it to people, I blew up the dots to about 2 centimeters in diameter. It's a great visual size as well. And what I did, obviously, if you blow the Braille cell up, you've got like a dot, a gap, a dot, a gap. And the brain just can't take that in as a visual thing because obviously Braille is not meant to be seen. So I was thinking, right, how can I make it be seen? So I ignored the gap and I just relied on a 2 squares by 3 squares down. And I gave each Braille cell a colour.
Mm.
And it weren't random colours. So I looked at the commonality of letters appearing in words and used colour theory. So a sighted person will learn to read Braille as if they're learning to read letters in a book, because letters are just patterns. And that's what Braille is. And then from that, it's evolved into me now creating pictures. So a sighted person will see like a Marmite jar. I've just done a giant Marmite jar in Braille. They will see that, but a blind person will know more than them because they'll read it, and in that Braille, it reads the history of Marmite plus the ingredients. So basically, I'm like an Andy Warhol of the Braille world. If that makes
Wow.
sense. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I mean, are you making a living from your art now, or how is that working for you?
I
Are you?
mean, if I was in Ireland, it'd be great because I know in Ireland you actually pay your artists a living wage, which is fantastic. I wish Great Britain would do the same, but hopefully one day we will. But we struggle as artists, but I never give up that passion of doing it. And last year was a hard year, but this year it's gone off to really good. I've got my Arts Council funded project, so that's underway. So I'm creating a Mr. Dot Dot shop, which is an art installation, a shop that's a play shop with no Latin. So everything will be Braille, from the brands to the money to the signage. That will open next year in a shopping centre. And the
Wow.
beauty of this is it can travel. So if anyone's listening to this, I would love for Mr. Dot Dot shop to come to Ireland as well as Mr. Dot and come to schools because it's all about education. So this shop is about going into it and shopping through touch and experiencing what a blind person struggles with whilst going shopping, basically.
It's an amazing, job you're doing and raising awareness. And, it's really, this podcast is Advocacy Talks. We're talking about things, advocacy. And you are the epitome of that, through everything that you're doing. It's just advocating in such an amazing, hands-on way to kind of raise awareness and push the boundaries in so many ways. So you really are incredible, all of the things you're doing. So, as I say, I think, Fight for Sight are so lucky to have you as an ambassador for them.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. And like I say, I'm also the patron of the charity Victor, which is the vision impaired children's charity, and I set the annual Braille art competition each year, and I judge it. So that's an amazing achievement as well.
Wow, so it's getting younger people involved in being creative too, and using the Braille.
I really want to. I never thought I would get emails from around the world for kids saying, or schools saying, "Oh, Mr. Doc, we love what you're doing. We're using you as part of our art plan to teach the kids Braille and about accessibility and inclusion." And I mean, as a pinch me moment, I'm leaving a legacy. I always say I love being blind. I love who I am. I can't change it, and it's made me a better person and a better artist.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It really is. So I mean, actually, the future is only getting better, I think, in terms, for people who are blind and vision impaired, in terms of, the technologies that we have now, and people like yourself raising awareness and, changing attitudes about, what people who are blind and vision impaired can do. So really, we're just so grateful to have people like you who are out there and making such a difference. So thank you so much for coming and telling us your amazing story today. We really appreciate it.
Not a problem. I will tell you an amazing thing. I am off to Venice Biennale with the British Council. So if you don't know, the British Council has a pavilion at the Venice Biennale, which is like the Champions League of the art world. And I will be a fellow going in September, and I will be the first ever blind fellow in the history of the British Council to do this. How amazing is that as well?
That's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, congratulations. I mean, they're so lucky to have you, really. I just think amazing.
I say it's a dream come true, and like I say, the sight loss. I don't worry about the sight loss because I've let it define me. I've let it kind of, I've kind of took it on as my superpower, and it kind of resembles the book. So the children's book I mentioned earlier is Mr. Dot and his Magical White Cane Adventures. So I will leave you with the first page. I think it's perfect, and it sums up Mr. Dot in a few words. And it goes like this. Mr. Dot is my name. I have a white cane. It's magic and helps me to see. I tap for the day to find my own way, which means that I could be free.
Wow. That's wonderful. That is really incredible. Honestly, you're an amazing man. You really are. And I think, it would be wonderful to talk to you another time to find out how the event goes with the Arts Council and everything, and, to hear more about that. So you're very inspiring, and I'm so delighted that, we were able to chat to you today and share your story with our listeners, and, to just raise awareness. And yeah, it's fantastic. Really, really brilliant. So thank you so much, Clarke.
No, thank you. Thank you. We've got a great podcast. And I say, I love to come to Ireland. I've never been to Ireland. I would really love to come to Ireland and give the Mr. Dot experience.
We would certainly love to have you, definitely. So, you have to try and work out, work out how to do that, which would be brilliant. It really, really would. Well, look, thank you so much. As I say, it was great to talk to you. And do you have a website or anything that people could go to if they're wanting to find out more about the work that you do?
Yeah. So it's my website is mr.uk.com, and my website is very colourful, very bright. It's almost like a comic book. So please do explore.
Fantastic. Wonderful stuff. Thank you so much, Clarke. Well, as I say, I think it would be hard to top a conversation with Clarke because it's just so fascinating and so inspiring. But hopefully we'll come up with something interesting for our next podcast. And, in the meantime, if you do need any kind of support from Vision Ireland in the services that we provide, you can always find us on our website, which is www.vi.ie. Or you can call our info line on 1800 911 250. So look, off you go now, everyone. Go and, get out there. The summer's coming. Go and do some amazing things like Clarke, and enjoy yourselves. And amazing. Be inspired. All right, everyone. Till next time. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Advocacy Talks. To get in touch with our advocacy team, send us an email to campaigns@vi.ie, or why not join one of our local advocacy networks, where you can work together with others to solve some of the biggest problems facing blind and partially sighted people in Ireland. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.